item on the agenda tonight, but all good. So I would like to call the May 20th, 2026 session to order. You please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Whitman,
Here.
Alderman Detweiler, absent. Alderman Gettlemeyer. Here. Alderman Johnson.
Present.
Alderman Nay.
Here.
Alderman Waters.
Here.
Alderman Wilson, absent. Quorum is present.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, so we got a busy agenda tonight. Those who are looking at we got 11 items on the agenda. A little bit more than normal, but I think a few of them we can get through pretty sprightly. First one is the RBA for Delmar Gardens requested discharge fireworks on Sunday, June 28th, 2026. So this was brought to the city's attention as they had had intentions to discharge fireworks as they have for several decades in the past. Recently, there was some legislation or an ordinance that was passed by the board a couple of years ago that had made this prohibitive based on the language in the legislation or the ordinance that was passed. So they were denied the permit, and they requested this to be addressed or an opportunity to speak to the board about this. So that's what this discussion's about. Is there anybody on the board who'd like to speak about this?
Sure, I'll speak about it. When we went through a process to make that ordinance, and one of the reasons why we talked about not lighting off fireworks on Sunday was to give our residents a break, so you don't have people lighting off fireworks and they have to go to work the next day. There's also been talk about how unsafe it is along that road because people will stop and pull over. And at night especially, I mean, that's not a 30-mile-an-hour road. People go 50, 55 miles an hour. It's, I think, an accident waiting to happen. Delmar Gardens is not in Darden Prairie. Yes, where they light it off is in Darden Prairie, but I think that we shouldn't change our ordinance for this reason. Sorry for the noise.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's might have to get you a new mic cover on that one. Okay. Any other discussion or any other thoughts from?
Yes, I'd like to speak on it. Delmar Gardens is, well, first of all, I have a personal interest. My mother spent 5 years there, and it's a very good facility. It does provide a service for our community here, also in Darden Prairie, even though it's not located in Darden. And I have gone to these events in the past. It was always a blessing that they did it on the weekend before, because families were able to get there and spend it with their loved ones. I know my mother loved, until she got Alzheimer's and dementia, loved seeing the fireworks and stuff. And it was hard to transport her to take her to an event and stuff like that. So it was an opportunity for us to spend time with her. And then the next 4th of July weekend, then your families can do their things. I know we had worked on that ordinance and everything, but I think there are exceptions to the rule. And I think this is one because I believe it's part of a community service that provides to a lot of residents that also live in Darden Prairie that I know of personally. So I would be in favor of this exception.
But at this point, just to be clear, we're not going to vote on anything tonight. It is not on the regular agenda, so it would be, any motions would be to move it to the next meeting's agenda, since it is not on the agenda. But this is for discussion for the board to bring up the merit of this particular job. So thank you for your comments.
So in the future, we'll discuss it at the next meeting if we want a motion that way.
So yeah, if the board so wishes to make any movement forward on any sort of either exception or amendment for this particular instance, then it would be something that would be a motion to be on for the next meeting. Because there is nothing on the regular agenda to change anything. This is merely merely for discussion in this meeting.
So could we, if you decide, or if the board decides to make an exception, do we have to go back and revise the ordinance?
And that would be the standard.
So, we can move that in the regular meeting,
You can move it. in
make
this
the
one.
motion in the regular meeting.
You can make the motion now.
You make a motion now.
Okay.
I think that's essentially what we're looking at here is, at this point, the expectation would be is what's the board direction to move forward with this? Because and I just want to say too, I was on the board at the time and was deeply involved in the discussions around fireworks as well. The fireworks were not meant to specifically stifle one or the other. It was designed for community at large rules, which we were trying to tighten up a little bit. And it changed, and the ordinance changed a few things that tightened it up to Alderman Gittemire's point, was to try to give relief. So, fireworks a week before 4th of July, every night, out there, people popping off fireworks till 10 or 11 o'clock at night was disruptive to, families that were trying to function and operate. So, this specific event is, something that has been going on in the community for years. And I think that's, it was, the ordinance was an at-large ordinance. It wasn't designed to specifically target one event. So the expectation, would be that I would expect that the board would either change the ordinance or create an exception. Is that correct?
Well, I can move right now to,
City clerk?
postpone any of this action until our next meeting.
City clerk?
I just want to read into the record or submit for the record a letter from Alderman Detweiler, who is unable to attend tonight, and she is in opposition of this. And I placed a copy for everyone at the dais.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to see that the ordinance have exceptions put in there approved by the board. This I believe is also, doing this for them. Not only have they done it for 20 years, it's a community service to our community here. So I think instead of just saying Sundays are allowed or whatever, I think we can have it put in there in an exception that is brought before the board, and then we would vote on it.
Yep.
John, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Understand? You get my jest. I mean, your legalese will have to,
I get your gist.
okay.
I think the one thing I would just clarify is that any exceptions would have to have standards for those exceptions.
Okay. And
So to be clear on what you just said, John, so you're saying that it couldn't be an exception to one business, it would be exceptions based on, it would be something like, i.e., a community service type thing, or some, is that
Well,
what you're getting at?
No, it would have to be some sort of objective standard pursuant to which, so it could be equally available to anybody, but you could limit the number of them that are issued per any given year. So it would be, right now the prohibition is any day other than a Friday or Saturday. If you're going to allow it on the day other than, and you also limit to 6 per year, you're going to allow any additional one beyond that restriction, would have to be some form of objective standard to which they would qualify.
Okay. So what we could do is, well, I guess I'll just ask for the board to, what does the board want to do on this as far as next steps? Or
I would recommend we just put in there for two exceptions. And that being said, we haven't had anybody else come to us with that. If for some reason we find that there's up to 3, we can always go back and change ordinance again. But I mean, unless we got something prevailing, I don't see that it's going to be coming. This is something isn't normal, and I don't think we'll be seeing a lot of exceptions like that. I don't know. I mean, that's just food for thought.
I would think that let's say the size or magnitude of the display, for lack of a better term, would need to be, for lack of a better term, substantial, as opposed to, somebody standing in the cul-de-sac on a Sunday night,
So in other
blowing
words,
stuff off.
up where it's a public service, so it's for free to the public, you know what I mean? Some type of, I don't know how you would put it. No. Public
So
service.
I guess, two things I'm hearing. So one, I heard of content, that we just postpone all action until the next meeting, or do we want to try and put forward something for next meeting to discuss? Like, is that what I'm hearing? So we want to look for potential language to be discussed in the next meeting? Or postpone?
I'd like to see something proposed and brought to us that we could work with. Week from there. That's what I believe.
Yeah, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it now. And be ready for the next meeting to discuss it in detail when Carla, and Ryan are here as well, hopefully. And give them time to review and put their 2 cents in as a part of the discussions, because Carla, initiated this and, needs to be respected for her opinion. And, I'm open to, having that as a part of our general discussion.
This is purposefully because of the lack of board numbers tonight, which is the reason why we
Mhm.
didn't want to put anything on the agenda.
So I would suggest that we could make this or limit this to 2 or possibly even as many as 3 for consideration. And make that essentially the new standard.
Just to kind of put a little bit of clarity, and again, Alderman, if the intent, Johnson, if what you're saying is a motion, just to get clarity, because I think in terms of preparation of legislation to present, I think at the next work session for further discussion, just so I have clarity on what we'd be putting together. So there's a discussion about 2 or 3 exceptions. When I start with the 2, we can discuss that further. 2 exceptions, and the exception is to allow it just on Sundays, any other day than Saturday.
See, that's why you're a lawyer,
Make it simple.
I would say make it simple and leave it
Just
on
on
the Sunday,
Just Sunday?
because
Okay.
I don't want to get into during the weekend.
Sure.
Because then that's what we tried to fight against, was the fireworks going off all week long.
And do we want to have the same hours, which is the 6 to 10? Okay.
Yeah, that's
Hours.
because they do it as soon as it hits dusk. I mean, I
Sure.
know half the people are going in before it's over anyway, but yeah, so they're,
Do we want to have a vacation period? Do they have to submit earlier or?
I would say leave it the same application period, because it's first come, first served.
That's simple.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we have.
I don't, yeah.
And then if we want to say we limit it to, now when I say you have to have objective standards, we could say objective standards, but it's the same standards as everybody else. We're just going to allow 2 out on Sundays. And we can leave it at that.
I would say that would be,
Okay.
make it simple as possible to get through this, because we're running out of time on it.
Okay. Well, I think that gives us enough direction and to prepare something. So if Alderman Johnson can want to make that motion.
I would like to make the motion John just said.
Motion moved by Alderman Johnson,
Second.
second by Alderman Waters. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it. Okay. Next on the agenda is an RBA for the appointment of Chuck Boschert as the City of Garden Prairie historian. So in this case, the City of Garden Prairie previously had a historian a Mrs. Barbara Griesenauer. Gladys Griesenauer, okay. Gladys Griesenauer, who had previously served as the city's historian for many years, had a deep knowledge of the city's history and also moved to collect artifacts and things from families that had generations that lived in and around Garden Prairie. And so she had actually created a display in the front of City Hall, which is kind of historical display that has some really interesting pictures and artifacts of the city's history here. So one of the things that, unfortunately, Ms. Griesenauer passed away several years ago. And after she did, there was nobody really that came in to fill that gap. So last year, I was approached by the St. Charles County Historical Society, Miss Joan Kagi. Always have trouble pronouncing that name. Miss Joan Kagi. And we started to have some discussions around this. And the Historical Society, we also found out, had someone that was already a resident of Garden Prairie who's actively involved, and that's Chuck Boschert. So after meeting with Mr. Boschert, who's a retired St. Louis police officer, what's that? St. Louis County. Yes, I took the words out of my mouth. Who has experience in writing, extensive police reports and investigating, as well as a deep passion for history. I've elected to appoint him as our new city historian. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to kind of let the board know and give them an opportunity to talk to Mr. Boschert if they so have any questions for him. Okay.
You are wanting to do this too. aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't want you to be voluntold, Sounds good.
All right. All right. Any further discussion? All right. On to the next. Item number 3, the Gateway Green Light Program, second amended intergovernmental agreement. Matt, go ahead.
All right. The Gateway Green Light Program is a regional traffic signal coordination program. It helps St. Charles County, MoDOT, and local cities share traffic equipment and communications so traffic signals and related devices can work together more consistently. The second amended agreement updates the existing GGL agreement. It does not approve a new construction project for Garden Prairie. It mainly updates how the shared traffic communication system is used, maintained, and coordinated. The agreement also includes related maps and equipment listings as exhibits and allows each city to sign its own counterpart. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance, authorizing the city administrator to execute the agreement so Garden Prairie can continue to participate in the countywide GGL program. This is which item tonight? I would request 2 readings since it is administrative and just administrative.
Can we
Any
do,
questions?
can we do 1 reading tonight and save it for the next meeting?
That's what he's saying.
No, that's not.
You
I
want-
was requesting 2 readings. I was
Before, there, but
Lack of more members might make it better.
now, do they control the traffic signals through this also? Or is this just a monitoring?
So we all have control over them. So I'll have control over them as well, but it's more of a monitoring. You can access the intersections with cameras. You can set up different timings and such. I haven't been trained yet. They have training available. So right now the county's kind of been doing that for us, and I've been communicating with the county, Jake Belcher, the exact, to help get me up to speed and to better our system in general and such. So it's got the cameras, it's got the timings, it's got recordings, traffic patterns and such. I'm not sure if it actually has traffic counts, which would be awesome, but yeah.
Todd, does this also deploy the signaling for emergency vehicles?
I'm unsure of that. I don't know exactly if it does that.
I mean, that's more important to me than
Right.
a lot of it is. And a lot of the cities have already adopted that to where all the traffic signal, when an emergency vehicle comes in, it automatically gives them the green light and eliminates
Right.
many accidents.
Right.
And I would like to see if that's part of it.
Yeah, let me check into that because all the cities are a part of this. It's all the same
Right.
program. So I would assume, but I don't want to make any assumptions. I would assume, so I can get you an answer for that.
Just to be clear for the board's edification, so this is something that we are not currently, or we are currently?
We are currently
This
already
is
a part of
just
it.
re-signing up.
Yes,
Something
this is,
we're already a
yeah,
part of.
this is just the amended agreement, further describing the communication system and who maintains them and who coordinates with them.
Gotcha. And you are going to continue to get spun up on it. So from the city's perspective, if we have, if issues with the light, we can come to you and have that
Correct.
adjusted.
Correct,
accordingly.
yeah, which you should be doing already, hopefully.
Yeah.
Come to me.
And I'd just like to say, this is no additional cost to the city except for the time that he already spends on it now. So we're not looking at budgeting or putting forth a lot of money to this project, which I think is beneficial to the city.
All right, any further discussion on that? And I mean, I guess, you know, the question was if there would be two readings. It is, sounds like it is a minute, you know, re-upping on an intergovernmental agreement in the county would technically qualify as a administrative, and per our policy, that particular one is a typically two readings in one night. So just want to, on this specific one, is there any just any further discourse on this one getting two readings? None heard. Okay. Moving on, item number 4. All right, my pen is, it's like, okay, here it is. So it's going to be back to Matt on RBA on an agreement guaranteeing tree preservation and reforestation for condos at town center.
Yes, the proposed ordinance authorizes the city to enter into a deposit agreement guaranteeing tree preservation and reforestation improvements with cash with the condos at Town Center Inc. for the condos at Town Center Development, city project number 972006. The development includes tree preservation, reforestation, and mitigation obligations under Chapter 515 of the Municipal Code and the city's arboricultural specifications and standards practice manual. Financial security of these obligations is typically established prior to or in connection with the commencement of construction or land disturbance activities. In this case, construction and land disturbance activities have already commenced and are nearing completion. However, the required mitigation and reforestation plantings have not yet been completed, established, maintained, and verified. The deposit agreement is being brought forward at this time to secure the outstanding planting obligations and to ensure that the required plantings are installed, maintained, replaced if necessary, and survive through the required maintenance period. The agreement requires condos at Town Center Inc. to provide a cash woodlands deposit in the amount of $10,000. The deposit will be held by the city as security for completion, maintenance, survival, replacement, and restoration of the required tree preservation and reforestation improvements. No release of this deposit will occur until the city engineer verifies that all applicable requirements have been satisfied and the Board of Aldermen authorizes release in accordance with the agreement. Staff recommends approval of the deposit agreement so the city has financial security in place to ensure completion and survival of the required mitigation and reforestation plantings. This too, I'm requesting 2 readings as it is administrative and part of the city's process.
Good.
Any questions?
Questions from the board on item number 4?
Aren't we releasing some construction funds to them on the same project?
Correct, the land disturbance.
Right,
We're
so
50%
basically, we're
land.
just taking some money. The
Right.
money we're releasing, we're taking back.
Correct.
Okay.
They've been requesting a release for the land disturbance for quite a while, and we've been denying it until they've established this tree preservation.
Yeah, I mean, it's our benefit.
All right. No further questions on number 4. We will move on to item number 5, which is an RBA for cleaning services for City Hall, Green Clean.
Green Clean, yeah. The city issued bid form 26001 for janitorial and cleaning services to provide routine cleaning for city hall facilities. The city received 3 bids in response to the solicitation. The submitted weekly services rates for 2026 are as follows. SRB was our lowest bidder, which I brought before the board. I forgot what meeting that was now. Recommended services to them. they were at $300 a week with a bi-monthly deep clean of $350. Green Clean Commercial came in second at $344 weekly service with 379 bi-monthly cleanings. Here we go. At the March 18th, 2026 work session, the Board of Aldermen approved awarding the janitorial and cleaning services contract to SRB Cleaning Solutions LLC as the lowest responsible bidder. Following award and execution of the contract, SRB notified the city that it could not perform cleaning services during the normal City Hall business hours and indicated that it would withdraw from the contract if daytime cleaning was required. Due to facility security requirements, the city cannot authorize after-hours cleaning at City Hall. Staff reviewed the RFP, available records, and SRB's submitted proposal and did not identify any written addendum, clarification, contract modification, or proposal language authorizing after-hour cleaning. Since SRB is unable to meet the city's required schedule, staff recommends awarding the janitorial and cleaning services contract to Green Clean Commercial, the second lowest bidder, utilizing the weekly service rates included in the proposal. Staff further recommends that the contract be awarded for the remainder of the 2026 contract year, commencing upon execution or notice to proceed and ending December 31st, 2026. The city shall retain the sole option to renew the contract for up to 2 additional years at the rates submitted in the Green Clean Commercials proposal, subject to annual appropriation, satisfactory performance, and approval or authorization as required by the city. The budget available for this for fiscal year 2026, it's the same situation as SRB's. We had $6,400 available, and I'm requesting not to exceed $13,000. And I was able to come up with that number by taking their weekly service rate and multiplying it by 32 weekly cleanings for the rest of the year, and then also adding in the bi-monthly rate times 4 cleanings to come up with a total estimated cost of $12,524. So I'm requesting $12,524 with the option to not exceed $13,000. All this cost is very similar to SRB's since we have many weeks have passed since then. So anything additional over that 6,400 is still covered by the other items that I had discussed in the previous meeting that could cover that for the same line items.
What governors that they can't clean after hours?
Governor?
I mean, what, do we
Security,
have an ordinance or something that they
just
can?
security purposes on our behalf with the building, with the door codes not being up to the standards we're putting in place and the cameras and such.
I mean, they're all bonded and insured and all that. I just didn't know why. I mean, I don't know of any place that doesn't have cleaning after hours like that. I was,
Yeah.
it just, I've managed a lot of buildings before with high security and data and everything else, and we had 24-hour cleaning and a lot of times it's better cleaning after hours when
Yeah.
nobody's in there.
Agreed.
So I don't know why that became such an issue.
Yeah, I think from our standpoint is currently our door codes, everyone has a code, but nothing stores that code. So you never know who's in the building. And then right now we have cameras, but they're not actively recording at this time. So we don't know who's in the building, and we also can't look back to see who's in the building. So there's our security risk.
Maybe we'll have to set up a bedroom for you in here.
Well, at that point, I should be cleaning.
Good point taken. No, there's not that much in the price. My question is, so I guess that's something we should put on our agenda to get updated.
It's all being like security purposes.
Yeah.
The doors are being worked on and the cameras are being worked on right now by Rose. She's updating both of those.
You want 2 ratings on this too?
I would like to request 2 readings for this for the purposes of time. Our guys are still cleaning the bathrooms when they can, even though the potholes keep forming and the grass keeps growing.
Any further questions on this one? Any issues with 2 readings from the board? Any concerns? Further concerns on this from the board? I would endorse 2 readings on this so we can get the
No,
cleaning
that's fine.
services in place, just as a personal endorsement on that particular one. Next up is item number 6, an RBA for Weldon Spring Road Phase 1, in Charles County Sales Tax Funds. Matt?
Yes, the city has received 3 agreements for St. Charles County for the use of St. Charles County transportation sales tax funds for transportation, roadway, pedestrian, bicycle, and safety improvements within the city of Darden Prairie. Weldon Spring Road Phase 1 includes improvements to Weldon Spring Road from Technology Drive to Henning Road. The project includes roadways, stormwater, pedestrian, bicycle, and safety improvements, including a shared use path, intersection improvements at Weldon Spring Road and Technology, crosswalk improvements, RRFBs, lighting, signage, and related work. Bates Road improvements Phase 1 includes improvements to Bates Road from South Outer Road 364 to Red Hawk Parkway. The project includes pavement improvements, asphalt overlay, revised pavement markings, dedicated bike lanes, ADA ramp improvements, sidewalk replacement where needed, pedestrian crossing improvements, RRFBs, and related safety improvements. Citywide safe routes to school includes that design for school area pedestrian and safety improvements at multiple locations throughout the city. The project includes sidewalk improvements, ADA ramp improvements, RRFBs, high visibility crosswalk striping, solar flashing school zone signs, and related improvements intended to improve pedestrian visibility and safety near schools. Staff recommends approving the ordinances authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute the 3 agreements with St. Charles County. These should have been brought forward last year. I think they were submitted to the cities at some point during the transition period from Vice Design Group and myself, and these were missed. So Amanda Brower with the county had actually reached out and asked if we had these executed. I checked our files; they were not there. So these had been missed. So that is why they're all on the same agenda at the same time. For each of these, I am also requesting 2 readings, as they are just the agreement between the county and the city accepting the grant money. So
I would agree. We need 2 readings. We already approved all this.
it's already
And we
approved.
need to get it moving, so
Right.
we'll just call you 2 reading Matt.
Yeah, everything I have tonight, I'm requesting 2 readings. And this, what I specifically just read was for the next 3 RBAs. I'm not going to reread it 3 times. As it is it's the same agreement for 3 different projects.
I don't have a problem with 2 readings on.
Anybody else?
Mhm.
The questions? So you wanted to cover the 6, 7, and 8 with those comments?
Correct. It was the same RBA. I just, rather than repeat myself 3 times, I just put it all into one.
Okay, with that, any other objections from the board on covering 6, 7, 8 with those comments and giving 2 readings on each one, considering they were formally approved? Unheard. Okay. All right, moving on to item number 9 then. A fast track up there. Matt, you're back on. the hot
All
seat
right,
one more time.
let's go out again. The city issued a request for qualifications for professional engineering services for the Weldon Spring Road Phase 1 Improvements Project in accordance with the MoDOT local public agency process. This project includes improvements to Weldon Spring Road from Technology Drive to Henning Road, including roadways, stormwater, pedestrian, bicycle, and safety improvements. Following review of the submitted statements of qualification, Horner and Schifrin Inc. was selected as the most qualified firm for the project. The proposed engineering services generally include project management, conceptual refinement, survey, preliminary design, right-of-way plan preparation, and related right-of-way support documents, environmental documentation support, utility coordination, final plans, specifications and estimate, bidding support, and related professional services necessary to advance the project through final PS&E. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance authorizing the city administrator to negotiate and execute a professional services contract with Horner and Schifrin Inc. subject to a final review and approval by MoDOT. The proposed professional engineering services contract is in an amount not to exceed $306,364. Eligible project costs are anticipated to be reimbursable through project's federal STBG funding and St. Charles County Road Board funding, subject to MoDOT authorization and reimbursement request. Funding for the city share has been included in the capital improvement budget. Any questions? For this, I am also requesting 2 readings due to timeline of the project in order to stay within the timeline provided by the city in the grant application that we submitted last year.
I just say anything related to Weldon Springs Road, you need to move because that road is starting to fall
It's
apart
falling apart.
bad.
Yes.
And this project isn't scheduled to be completed till 29?
I think it's
29
28.
completion.
I believe it's 28.
So, I mean, and hopefully we can get working on phase 2 because
Yeah.
that road is really falling apart badly.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Item number 9. Comments? Any objections to 2 readings on this one? None heard. Okay, on to item number 10. And RBA for HVAC and roof repairs to City Hall building. Verigy, City Administrator Kent Pratt.
Thank you. I decided I could take one for the team. Give Matt a break. Staff has been working, meeting with Verigy, and we've invited them here to provide an overview of guaranteed energy savings contracting and potential infrastructure improvement opportunities for the city. We have 2 budgeted capital projects for 2026 HVAC replacement and roof repairs. Verigy is an energy services company that works with public entities throughout Missouri and the Midwest on projects involving HVAC systems, roofing, lighting, building automation, solar energy, and other facility improvements. Their presentation tonight will discuss potential opportunities for City Hall and explain how these types of projects can be structured using guaranteed energy savings and available federal incentives. At this time, I would like to introduce Ellie Blankenship and the Verigy team. I think she might be the only person here tonight for Verigy. She drew the short straw. And we've got Matt will support her with her PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I'm Ellie Blankenship with Verigy, and I just wanted to kind of go through a brief presentation about how these projects work. So if you have any other questions as I go along, please feel free to stop me. If you can go to the next one. Kathy mentioned we use guaranteed energy savings contract. It's Missouri Statute 8.231, and it's an alternative procurement method for funding capital projects. The main concept behind it is that you can use the savings, which are threefold. So what you're spending to your energy, your utilities, operations and maintenance savings, and then avoided future capital costs to help pay for the project over time. You can finance the improvements for up to 15 years. It's not a requirement of the program, but it's a nice thing, when you don't have that upfront capital cost to implement the improvements that you need to do. We guarantee the savings, so we measure and verify to make sure that we saved you what we said we were going to save you. And then we also guarantee the cost, so it's a guaranteed maximum cost project, no change orders as part of the project. You can flip to the next one. I like to compare it to your sort of, performance based, which what we are, to your traditional bid and spec. Some of the big things that differences are, we look at life cycle costs. So how much is it going to cost you to operate and maintain those systems over the life of the system, not just what that upfront costs are. We also look at it comprehensively. So we looked at all the energy using infrastructure within your facility. There's no upfront fee required. We did this at no cost just to see if we can even help you. The other big one is beyond the guarantee is the one contract, single point of accountability. So all the subcontractors would be under us. We would have a project manager on site managing all the subcontractors throughout the process. And then the big thing too is that we're tied to the risk, because we said we saved you a certain amount of money. We have to make sure that the systems operate in the way that they will save you what we said they were going to save you. Where we are today is we've presented the preliminary infrastructure audit. The next step, should you decide to move forward, is to select a partner. We recommend the TIPS Purchasing Co-op, mostly because of the situation that you're in right now with the HVAC systems already being failed, the roof in very poor condition. That allows us to move forward. That still does not commit you guys financially to anything related to this project or specific final scope of work. That allows us to go ahead and firm up all the costs of the recommendations that we've provided to you guys, finalize the savings, get the subcontractor pricing, and come back to you with the list of improvement measures that we recommend. You can pick and choose, and then those would wrap up into a final project. We also would help you facilitate the funding at that time. If you chose to finance improvements, we have partners that we can bring to the table, to help you with the financing. And so that's all determined in that next step. And again, no financial commitment until you approve a final contract with a final scope of work. Once that contract is approved, that's when we would move forward with project implementation. We'd have that dedicated on-site project manager managing the project, and then the ongoing measurement and verification to ensure we saved what we said we were going to save. Go to the next. So I'm a visual person, so I kind of like to look at it this way. And you have your current energy and operational budget during the contract term, the lighter blue, and then also any grants and rebates. We will apply for those on your behalf to allocate to the project, or then take into, help fund the project. And then after those project is paid for, the savings go back into the budget. One of the things that we're talking about now, and one part of why we're looking at evaluating geothermal in this facility, is because of the Inflation Reduction Act funding, where there's a direct pay option now for municipalities, where you can get up to 50% of the cost of the project paid back from a check from the federal government. That's still applicable for solar just through this year. You have to be completed by the end of 2027, but geothermal through 2032. And what we've been able to get 40% for geothermal, because it starts at a minimum of 30, but then there's kickers for domestic content, which the majority of the geothermal suppliers are domestic. So we're able to get that 10%. So 40% of the cost of a geothermal HVAC system would come back to you in the year after the project is complete, as well as solar if you went that route. These are just all the different things that, we look at a facility. Kathy kind of addressed some of these already. The big thing for me, though, is it's the turnkey. We're handling this all for you, taking off your plate, not having to do multiple bids with multiple subcontractors for multiple different scopes of work. And also because this proposed systems, like with the roof, ties into the HVAC. So you kind of want somebody that's been able to manage those in direct correlation with each other, because of the way, the roof, all the HVAC equipment's currently on the roof. If that's removed, you want to make sure that the roofing contractor and it's all coordinated. So that's where we really would come into play. So proposed HVAC improvements, we looked at two different, and I know you guys have a meeting coming up here, but so I won't get too far into this, but we looked at kind of replacing it more like for like, but resizing your systems. There's a lot of the systems in your facility right now are oversized for their needs. So the goal was to reduce energy use. Remember, right now you have electric heat, which is very inefficient, and then adding some ventilation.
I just want to say, take your time. We've got 15 minutes for our next meeting, and this is the last item on the agenda.
Okay,
so
great. All right.
ready to wrap.
So most of the existing systems right now are, have that, as I mentioned, that electric resistant heat. Some operate at heat pumps. There is some geothermal in this building that operates the back behind the office areas. So it's kind of just a mishmash of different systems throughout the building. You do have some systems that are already currently down. So we looked at replacing it with some more similar type system, sized correctly, or a geothermal HVAC system for the whole entire building. You can switch to the next one. So with similar system, we would be consolidating your 4 5-ton systems into 2 properly sized 5-ton dual stage systems. Office area, that's the area served by geothermal. So there will just be resized with new geothermal units. And then the rest of the building, again, right sized. And then we will replace all the thermostats with Honeywell connected thermostats, which provides remote access, scheduling, modern capabilities. So you'll be able to access all those via the internet and control that, wherever. However, one of the big reasons we've been very successful with geothermal even before the Inflation Reduction Act came along. We do it a ton. We've done it. I mean, we've probably got 100 systems in the state of Missouri right now for geothermal. Now it's even more cost effective because of the inflation reduction costs bring that down more to what it might cost with a similar system. Plus you have a much longer life system, much more efficient. No outside equipment on the roofs. So we would look at removing the entire current HVAC system and replacing that with all new geothermal heat pumps throughout the building. You can see in the drawing there, in that grassy area that's where we would like to consider putting the bore field. That doesn't disturb any parking lot areas or anything like that, and it's a really good spot. And again, the idea of being able to get the 40% credit for geothermal with the existing system and replacing it like for like, you're going to basically have to do that again in the life of what these geothermal heat pump systems are. So the heat pumps are 25 to 30-year life. Then your well fields, 100-year life, 50 years on the piping. So it's a very long life system. You won't have to do a full replacement again. You would just have to replace heat pumps individually as they fail. So that's another big reason why we look at, and again, that's tied back to that life cycle cost. So the life cycle costs of a geothermal system are actually less than an existing system, but the upfront costs are a little bit higher.
Can you, I know the building is retrofitted or it's outfitted, it's designed for geothermal, is that correct?
Well, there is part that has geothermal in there in that office area. I think what ended up happening was it was designed for maybe even more like a solar thermal chiller, looking at some of the drawings, and that never came to fruition. And so they sort of kind of came in last minute and sort of threw all this stuff on there. But it is a really good application for geothermal and especially because you already have electric heat. You're not servicing this building with gas. You still wouldn't have to add gas because the geothermal doesn't require that. The roofing is, in pretty bad shape. We did some infrared scans and inspections of the roof. There's a fair amount of bad decking, that there's not insulation on the parapet walls. And so it's damaged, all the decking and the plywood on the parapet walls. Unfortunately, we looked at initially trying to do maybe just a coating on the roof, but just based on the condition of what we expect the decking to be, we really recommend a complete tear off of the current roof, unfortunately, and replacing all decking and plywood on the parapet walls. That would also improve the insulation of the building. We would add new insulation and increase that R value. And then we would cover it with a new TPO membrane roof, which has a 20-year warranty, which includes hail. One thing we did look at, because we were looking at the roof, is solar PV. Again, that's something that you just really have to decide, what paybacks would be okay with you right now. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of incentives in Missouri for solar. However, we still do have the direct pay from the IRA that allows for that. So we did look at solar. We'll certainly provide those numbers, and you guys can decide, if the payback makes sense for you. Because like I said, I say a lot is that there's some things that you do, just for the savings, like solar, right? That's got to be just a payback. Then there's some things that you're going to have to do anyway, like HVAC, and if we can do it in the most efficient way possible to provide for those savings ongoing. So solar you really only want to do it if it makes sense, from a payback standpoint. Lighting is another thing that we looked at. Currently, you do not have majority of, fluorescent lighting throughout, so I haven't converted to LED. So that's kind of just a low-hanging fruit thing that we look at. Again, unfortunately, there's not a lot of Ameren rebate for lighting right now. Again, you'd have to decide, you can decide from a payback standpoint if it makes sense, but it's certainly something that we could do as part of this project. So these are the preliminary costs. Again, these still need to be firmed up. Again, you're not committing in any of these projects yet. It's really just to say, okay, we want to move forward with you guys to firm these all up. But if the main thing is if you look at total, if you were going to do every single project on here, you're a little over 2.1 million with the geothermal. But after the Inflation Reduction Act, that brings it down to a little over 1.5. And then your standard, about a little over 1.4 with their standard HVAC systems. But you can see the geothermal has more savings, also increased operation savings, which once we get to the next step, we actually provide cash flows with an interactive spreadsheet that you can select and unselect and see how, if you keep this in or take this out, how does that impact the cash flow? You can decide, for example, what if we knowing the Inflation Reduction Act funding is coming in year 2 and we know what it's going to be, maybe we decide to put that down and only finance, the amount needed after the Inflation Reduction Act. So there's a lot of different ways that we can work through that with you. And then once we know the final numbers, that's how, we'll determine, what project, what financing, how many long you want to do. If you even want to finance, if you have the funds, that's, something, that's obviously would be great. I haven't had a lot of cities that have that kind of money just sitting around, but so those are all things that we work through in that next step. And I'll close with just a little bit about us. We're headquartered we're actually in Chesterfield, Missouri, very Jimmy West. And we have over 500 employees right now. We have a dedicated local government team with former local government staffs. The other big one is that we're a National Association of Energy Services Companies accredited member, and we have to go through a very rigorous process to obtain that certification. So it really protects the city. We have all in-house resources to handle these types of projects. And the other big one is that we're vendor and equipment neutral. So we don't manufacture or represent any particular type of equipment or systems. We're going to put in what makes the most sense for your facility. Some examples, some references. One of the things I'm most proud of is the multiple phases of work. That's that people come back and do more work with us after. These are just some of the sample city references in the metro area that we've done work. And, this is just, a lot of, as I mentioned, some of these already, but, some of the big ones I'd reiterate is just a single point of accountability, improved sustainability, lower energy costs. And really for us, it's a partnership to make sure that we get your building operating the way it needs to be. So again, next steps would be consider selecting us through the tips, and then we would be able to finalize all these numbers and bring them back to you.
Thank you, Ellie.
Okay.
So with a small staff, the city's, in my opinion, got to look at leveraging all their resources. When Matt and I, and actually the mayor at the MML conference, learned about Verigy, we thought this was a great opportunity from 2 primary perspectives. One, project management. That's very appealing to us to have somebody who, one, understands these systems and construction projects and can oversee that process. But more importantly, I think, is the funding that the tax credits and things like that they are aware of and can tap into for the city, which you can see are some nice numbers there. At this time, this was a presentation intended to be informational. All staff is looking for is whether the board wants to authorize staff to move to the next step with Verigy. As Ellie explained, we still would not be at the point where you're committing any city resources at all. It's just endorsing this as a process for facilitating this purchase. As Ellie mentioned, we do have HVAC units that are not operational. The second floor offices do not have AC. Staff has always teased me because I'm always the cold one. We were out of AC last summer, and I made it till July before I had to say uncle and get a second window unit in there because it just got too hot, and I still sweated it out most of the summer. I do feel bad for the new city administrator coming in because even this week with the AC on high, I'm only able to get that office down to 75. So, and we're not even looking at temperatures that we're going to be looking at in July and August. So we recognize that during the budget process is needing to be replaced. I think we discovered through Verigy that the roof was in much worse condition than we understood or knew. And so at this point, like I said, I'm just looking for direction from the board if they would like to authorize staff to continue to move forward. Again, no funds would be expended until the board had an opportunity to review the projects, approve the projects, and approve the spending of money. This is just keeping the project moving.
I'd like to make a motion that the staff move forward with this.
Motion by Alderman Johnson that the staff move forward with Verigy and their tips.
Second.
Second by Laura, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard.
Thank you.
I would like to just add, even though the vote's already been over with, it's not just that one office, it's every single office that we have upstairs that is devoid of air conditioning.
Does that also include those people who rent from us?
Those units are thankfully still working, but I think this speaks to the importance of it as our tenants are maybe gonna, because these systems are all the same age and are all at the end of life.
Yeah.
I'd say thankfully ours broke first because we can react but this isn't something that we can quickly
So
react on, and this is a comprehensive way to approach it, you know.
does
so-
our new city administrator not only realize he's gonna be hot, he got this project dumped on him too?
Yeah, it's, you guys want to come up on a 95-degree day and come hang out in the office? By all means. All right, thanks. Yeah. I think the BTUs on the window unit I have is meant for a very small bedroom. Okay, so that's it for, so last item is review the 5/2026 Board of Aldermen agenda. Did anybody see anything else on the agenda, consent agenda, anything they want to talk about before the actual meeting? It is 7 o'clock on the nose. If not, we'll probably try to move sprightly through the staff communication. Nothing heard. Okay, staff communication, city attorney. City engineer,
I have nothing, Mayor.
city administrator.
Okay, I'll move sprightly. I just want to share with the board that we have hired an event specialist intern. Her name is Grace Wenzel. She'll start June 3rd. Thank you. Very excited. We've just we got one more intern position to fill. That's the engineer intern. We struggled a little bit initially getting applications for this, and I posted it to my LinkedIn, and we got some bites, and we were able to find some great candidates. I have to say, in interviewing for the event specialist, there were 3 young ladies who interviewed for the position, and they were outstanding. Each one of them, they were some of the best interviews I've done in 34 years of interviewing folks. So I'm really excited to bring Grace on board and her experience. As I mentioned, we're still looking for an engineering intern. So if any of you have students who are home for the summer and haven't gotten around to getting their internship, we've still got one, especially civil engineers. The city hosted the HOA dinner on May 12th at the Field to Table Institute. First of all, it's a fabulous facility. The food is always excellent, but it was a really great learning experience for those HOA reps that joined us. Just encourage our HOA reps out there to get in touch with the city, make sure we have your contact information so you can get invited next year. We launched a new event, a family sports Friday nights. This is just a casual event in our City Hall Park to watch Friday night baseball on the big screen. Sadly, our first event was rained out. Our next event is May 29th versus the Cubs at 6:15. Fingers crossed we have better weather for that and we're able to have an enjoyable evening. Taste of the County is tomorrow night. It is at City Hall Park from 5 to 7. This is a joint partnership event with the Western St. Charles County Chamber of Commerce. And sorry, but it is a sold out event. City Hall will be closed on Monday, May 25th for the Memorial Day holiday. And we also have a fishing derby on Saturday, May 30th. That event is also sold out, and we're looking forward to this first-time event with our young folks enjoying fishing in the park. And we are still accepting applications for our 4th of July America's 250 Celebration Parade. The deadline is June 5th. And last, I just want to say congratulations to new Gigi Rose Maresca, our IT manager, who welcomed a grandson yesterday, William Wayne.
Thank you, Kathy. Great update. And I will hold any additional comments on your events until the end of the next meeting. Alderman?
Just quickly, do we have any updates on the produce stand? Because that's the #1 complaint I'm getting. Are they gonna open up? If not, they gonna take it down? Terrible looking.
It's our understanding that there is a new owner who's working through the legal process to take possession of the property.
Okay.
Our admin assistant, Amy Hansen, has been in contact. They actually reached out to us. She's been in close contact with them, making sure they understand our expectations on cleaning up that site.
Great.
I don't know what their thoughts or plans are with it, whether they're going to clean it up and put it on the market for sale. But yes,
They are doing something. Okay. Just so I can relay to the residents.
I know,
It's
I
been-
know. It's hard because,
I know
these
you.
processes unfortunately can take a long time, and it's very hard for citizens to understand that they do. So, yep.
Thank you.
Moving at the speed of government. Anybody else? Unheard. I will hold my remarks as well until the end of the next meeting. That being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the work session.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Mark, second by Laura. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unheard. Meeting's adjourned. We'll take a 5-minute break and reconvene at 7:10.